I loved the World Cup. I took it as about, you know, when I was at Regis Boys Club, when I was young at 7, I took it, the World Cup, as if I was back at the boys' club. And I was playing table tennis, I was doing daft things. I was playing tennis, I was on pedal boats. I slide out cocktail was the best. I said, I need a drink. Go have a drink. And there was a beach hut on the beach. And there was no one about. So I went, so one of the guys gives a pina colada. And he went, okay, and he gives a nice pina colada. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh God, I'm in the World Cup, the sun on the beach, drinking a pina colada, fucking life. And I just said, Gaza. And I went, oh, fuck. And I said, what about upset? And he went, what you got there? So I panicked. And I went, I've got a milkshake, Gaffer. He went, gives a taste of that. I went, shit. So he had a taste, he went, oh. So he said to the guy, can I have one of them? And I went behind, said Bobby, I looked at the guy, went, shit myself. So the guy, looking up, the guy cottoned on. And he gave Bobby Robson just a normal circuit. So he drank his a little bit with a straw, and he went, no, because it tastes yours. And he tasted mine. I thought, he's got me, he's going to send us back home. He had a taste of his, and then he said to the guy, he went, no, this is not the fucking same. And the guy said, what do you mean? He says, where's my umbrella and the cherry and the sword? Oh, get in. I thought, brilliant. He shot off and I would never ate and just fell asleep on the beach.
Were you not playing tennis before the night before the semi-final as well?
The semi-final, I was just room with Chris Waddle. And I said to Chris, I can't sleep. I said, God, it was like 10:30 at night. So I went for a walk and I heard somebody playing tennis. And there was 2 Americans. And I just went in the court. I said, can I challenge this? And when, where's your partner? I said, no, take the 2s on. And I was playing for about 20 minutes. I was sweating me nuts off trying to beat them. And I just heard, Gaza. And I went, oh, shit. And he come into the tennis court. He walked past me. So I dropped the racket and ran like for my room. And I could hear him shouting to the Americans, do you not know who he is? He's got the most important game in his life tomorrow, and you're playing packing tennis with him. So I ran the room, and I went to Chris, if anyone knocks on the door, just tell them I'm sleeping, I'm tired. He went, yeah, no problem, Gaza. The door. He was going to get broken in, man. Smashed. Chris went, who is it? He went to Gaffer. Where is he? He's sleeping. And he went, sleeping? He's been playing tennis for half an hour. And Chris looked at me, he went, have you? And I went, I was asleep. And then a letter just come through the door underneath, and I've had a look at it, and he said, I'll see you in tomorrow morning. So the next day, I was like hiding from him, because I didn't want to know if I'm going to play or drop or he's going to drop us. And I was hiding, and then he just come round the corner. I always remember it was about 11:30, taps on the shoulder. And he went, forget about last night. I've already called it after the brush. Last night wasn't normal. He says, but neither are you. He says, today you're playing against the best player in the world, Luther Matthias. And I looked at the gaffer and I went, I'm sorry, gaffer, but he is. And I walked off. And he went, come back. And I just kept on walking. And then I looked behind, he had his head to the ground, just shaking his head like that, saying, God, what am I going to do with him? What's it called? I mean, I was just sitting with my dad, and the phone went, and it was Kenny Dalglish first. And he says, hi, it's Kenny Dalglish. And I looked at my dad, I went, Dad, Kenny Dalglish. He said, I want you to sign for Liverpool. So I spoke to him for half an hour. And I put the phone down, and my dad said, what did he say? And I went, Dad, to be honest, I did not understand a word he said. So that, my dad called me an effing idiot.
I know how you felt.
So I couldn't understand him. So, and then it was, then Sarsfield called us. He says, look, we want to sign you. And I went, okay, I'll sign. So he said, I'm going on holiday. When I come back from holiday, will you be at Old Trafford? I went, yeah. So I've told me Dad, going to Old Trafford, Man United, and he went, brilliant. And then 2 days later, the phone went, and it was Irving Scholar signed for Tottenham. And it was so funny, because I went, look, I'm going to sign for Man United. So I said, Dad, it's Tottenham. And he went, no, tell him to F off, you sign for Man United. So I said, my dad says F off, I'm signing for Man United. So he went, tell your dad, I'll give him £120,000. Hold on, Dad, they're going to give you 120 grand if I sign for Tottenham. He went, what you waiting for then, son? That's what he said. I went, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to sign for Tottenham. And my dad went, he's not moved off the chair, and he went, son, the house has got a garage. He hasn't even moved off the chair. I went, what do you mean? He went, I want a BMW soft top, private reg. So I rang Irving back and I says, can I have me dad have that? He went, oh yeah, consider it done. So obviously I was on the way and I passed Old Trafford, I was worried. And when I got near the ground, it was my sister rang up, Paul, if your mum's getting a house, my dad's getting a car, I want a sunbed. So the deal was done on a sunbed.
Gazza, what idiot turns down Man United?
I know, unbelievable. But I remember the first couple of weeks when I signed it now, and I got fan mail. And I went, wow, this looks big. And I opened it up and it was from Sir Alex Ferguson. He caned me. He hammered us, you fat bee. She just said, go on holiday and you sign for them. But I just remember when I played against Tottenham, I scored 2. And I walked off the pitch, and Tottenham was sponsored by Hummel, and I was sponsored the boots. And Terry Venables come out of us and just went, he says, anyway, at least you've got the right boots on, you know. But it was mostly Glenn Roeder that pushed us that way as well. He said, you love it working under Terry Venables, because obviously he did at Queen's Park Rangers, you know.
The weirdest thing I pulled out of a lake is obviously Gaza. We were during Euro '96. We used to go fishing. Terry would say to me, "David, take him fishing. He's getting hyper." So off we would go. And then on this trip, Gaza, for some unknown reason, decided to take a sleeping tablet before we went fishing. And I was like,
right.
"What?" You know, so it's like we're going fishing, and anyway, we starts fishing, and then Gaza he sees this trout rise a bit further, goes for the big cast, bosh, straight off the pier into the lake. And I was crying, I was laughing my head off, you know, and he's like, "Oh God, help us, get me out." Anyway, I went over to him and I said, "Get closer." I says, "I'm not coming in after you." And he got closer, then I pulled him out and I went, "Right, sort yourself out, I'm going to enjoy myself fishing." And then about literally 5 minutes later, I looked back at where he was on the thing, and he was fast asleep on the bank.
Soaked. What was the other one when you were fishing out in the boat and you heard the click, 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 click? What was that one?
This was
click, click, click,
yeah,
click.
No, this was a photographer in Euro '96 as well. Me, Gazza, and Ian Walker, all fishing on a boat in the middle of this lake. There's a guy there that looks like he's a proper fisherman. Anyway, in the end, we were like, "Well, where's that guy gone?" And he popped up from behind the reeds, and he got a massive camera lens on us, taking some photos. And then Gazza was like, "Right, get us in. I want to get the film out of that camera." Oof. And so we start rowing in, and I phoned the fishery owner. I says, "Close the gate. There's a photographer, and we need to get the film off him." So anyway, as soon as we hit the shore, Gazza jumps out, runs after the guy. The guy's now waiting at the gate because the gate's locked, in his car, not talking to anybody. Gazza's like, "I want the film. I want the film." And the photographer's like, "No chance, no chance." So Gazza reaches in and nicks his mobile phone. And with that, the guy panics, puts his window up, and then we couldn't speak to him.
Yeah.
So then Gazza starts letting his tyre down. You know, so he just starts.
Why didn't the guy drive off?
Well, that's exactly what he did, mate. He went straight through the gate.
Whoa!
Just smashed the gate open, out onto the road, and off he went. And then Gazza's still loading his phone. I says, "Press redial on that phone." And he pressed redial, he went straight through to Piers Morgan at the Daily Mirror.
Oh.
What was Gary like to play with, Gazza?
Oh.
I know you're calling him Lynx on this, but what was he like? What was he like, person and player?
Well, you know, that when I first met him, I knew he was lethal anyway, because I used to watch him when he was at Barcelona and that. And when we first signed, we had to do the medical. And he's lying there naked. I swear down, I fancied him straight away. He was fit as anything, tanned, smooth, handsome. He had everything, and the works.
Now you tell me, Gazza. Now you tell me.
And he had a massive pair of lugs.
Yeah, trophy head. But no, I just remember, I couldn't work because he was lethal. He was so quick. I then had to be quick as well, and it was only till I worked an hour. Like he used to do this thing in front of him, like that. So when he did that with his finger, I knew he was spinning off. So I worked that out, and when he was going that way, I knew he was coming short. And then after a while, then he just started banging goals for fun. Like, you know, it was unbelievable to play with somebody up front with so much talent. And yourself, Alan. I mean, I ruined him when I played against him. I scored.
You ruined Nigel.
I ruined him. I nearly ended his career that game.
It's so true, Joe, and it just, I think it sums Gascoigne up really. He wasn't involved in the conversation at all in the dressing room. In fact, I think I was talking to Vigilante at the time, Brian, and I just said to him, it was Alexander, my youngest son's, my oldest son, my only son at that time. I think he just turned 3. I said we're going to get his birthday present coming up. I said, we're thinking of getting him a rabbit. He quite fancies a rabbit. And that was just a kind of throwaway line to Durante. And then the very next day, I got up in the morning, and as I got up in the morning, I could just see a kind of pair of legs disappear over the back of my garden wall. Now, the bride will tell you, I lived in the next village to Gascoigne. When Gascoigne stayed at Rangers, he lived in the next village to me, which was about 3.5 miles away, which I can reliably inform you was not enough distance for any man to be living next to Gascoigne. Anyway, as I see this shape go over the wall, down into the garden, and I couldn't believe what I saw. In the garden, there was a goldfish bowl with 2 lovely goldfish in it, and there was all the food to look after the goldfish and instructions and how often they should get fed. Next to that, there was a magnificent budgie's cage with a blue budgie and a green budgie. Again, all the food and the instructions and how you feed them. And then next to that could only be described as the Buckingham Palace of rabbits' hutches. This thing was magnificent, Louders, it really was. And inside it was the most beautiful white bunny rabbit, right? And just on top of the hutch was a card that said, to Alexander, hope you have a lovely birthday, lots of love, Gaza, and a big kiss on it. And I thought, that just sums him up, it's just absolutely amazing. It's just so thoughtful. As I say, Joe, he wasn't even involved in the conversation, and he just heard it, and that's what he did. It's amazing.
We were out in Hong Kong, and we played a game against, I think it was called a Golden Select team, and we drew 1-1, and they were like part-time waiters. They were just a pulled-together team, and we were awful, really awful. And Gazza claimed after the game that it was his birthday. But then again, in a normal calendar year, Gazza probably had 30 or 40 birthdays, right? So he claimed it was his birthday and he was going out that night and he was trying to get a little gang up to go out that night. So I said to Gareth, who was a younger member of the squad at the time, I said, take my advice, don't be going out tonight, Gareth. The media will be all over this place. We've been awful. We're just about to go into a major tournament. So he said, OK, fine. Easy sell. Went back to the room, Steve Stone, young Geordie lad, Forest teammate. Thought, hey, I'm captain now, I've got to send him in the right direction as well. So I said, Stoney, let me give you a bit of experience, son. I said, don't even be thinking about going out tonight. I said, the media will be all over the town. They'll be looking for stories on players. Manager's not selected his final squad. You're new in the squad. Make sure you stay in tonight and don't go out. And he looked at me and went, I won't wake you when I come in, and shot off. And his claim to fame is this. On the front page of The Sun, there was Teddy with his ripped T-shirt and Macca and whatever. And Stoney was the last one they cut off. So he wasn't on. So he was so happy.
He was cut out of the picture.
He was cut out of the picture to squeeze the rest of them on. But it wasn't for me. I always felt as though if you're away with England, representing England, I think probably I'd had a drink on England duty on 2 or 3 occasions in 12 years. But if I wanted a drink, I'd have a drink in my own time, not when I'm representing my country.
Gazza wasn't knocking on your door then, saying, come.
I think he was probably knocking for Stoney, but knew he wouldn't get anywhere with me. But listen, to have someone like Gazza in your squad, my God, it was just fantastic, let alone on the pitch, where he was just sensational.
I think I still watch that Germany game and think Gazza's going to get there. He's going to get on the end of that cross.
Yeah, I think he was almost too clever for his own good. He was too intelligent as a footballer. I think as the ball's come across, someone looked as though they were getting a touch on it to direct it towards him. So he's delayed, and they didn't. And it just, every time I look at it, I think he's gonna get a touch on it.
All the players are naked, getting ready, and I swear down, I just looked over at Les Ferdinand's and has a black guy, Les was like this mate, and I went, wow, Les, me, please let me have a hold of that. I went, Gazza. I went, please, I play well, man. Fuck me. I said, I must have been the back of the queue when them were coming out. So imagine, I already knew with Teddy Venables had taught him. And he looked at Teddy Venables and went, So I went, oh, well, Les, please. He went, are you f***ing serious? I went, come on, I play well. So I had to wave it. Not a hold it, I fucking wave it. I was like, wow, I want to play well. I went out to the really well, right? So So imagine the second game we're playing Scotland. Me, you know how I is. And I had a whole of it. Imagine how Les felt when I scored that goal against Scotland. He was and like, as the tournament went on, it got to the stage before I went out the dressing room. Les Ferdinand was at the f***ing door like that video because
Who is the one player you wish you'd managed that you never did?
Paul Gascoigne, without question. I think he was the best English player since Bobby Charlton. I think he was a fantastic player. Unfortunately, we didn't get him. And I think, looking back now, he made a big mistake. He recognised himself years later. But we had Geordies in the camp. We had Bobby Charlton, Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, even Gary Pallister from Middlesbrough. We had people there that would have taken care of him. You know, particularly Brian Robson, who was fantastic with players, as you know. So he goes to an island in London, you know, and you're easily swallowed up there for a young lad. And I think that was a big mistake by him. I think he was a marvellous player. I loved his strength and his... We played at Newcastle up there, and it was Easter Monday, I think, and he'd just come back from injury. They were near the bottom of the league. And as soon as they come back, they started winning games. And I went there, we played three in the middle of the pitch. Whiteside, Robson and Remy Moses. You know, right?
Some midfield.
He destroyed them, honestly. And then he nutmegged Remy Moses right in front of the dugout and patted him on the head. And I'm jumping out the box, I'm going, fuck. Honestly, he was unbelievable. And I said to Martin Edwards coming back in the bus, sign this boy. Get on the phone to them Monday. And by that time, they'd already done a deal with Tottenham, which was really unfortunate. I was a disappointment because he agreed to sign, and then Tottenham changed his mind by buying his mother and father a house.
You weren't up for buying the mother and father a house?
Well, Martin Edwards was not that type.
We were going to go to a club up in Piccadilly, not far, and we were trying to get a taxi and we couldn't. It was one of those nights, it was raining, I think. We couldn't get a taxi anyway. And Gazza, and this bus came along. Gazza said, let's get the bus. I thought, it's going to be a bit... And it was full, this bus. And we thought, oh, great. So anyway, on the way, Gazza went in for, hey, mate. On he went, and about 4 of the players followed. And I came in last and I said, I don't suppose any of them paid. And a little Indian driver. And I said, how much is it? Oh, no. He said, no. He says, Gascoigne, Lineker on my bus, no charge. Where are you going? And do forgive me for the accent, but he did talk something like that. And he said, well, we're going up there, Piccadilly. I don't know whether is that. He said, well, this is only 2 blocks off my route. I will drop you at the door. Anyway, so off he goes. And then Gazza gets to the front of the bus, and you know the big glass windows at the front of the bus. He's standing there facing the bus, and he's singing, "We're all going on a summer's holiday," and the whole bus joined in, and just mad. But it was very funny. He had to be there probably.